Welcome to the Deeks.ai podcast, where Wake Forest innovators unpack the real-world magic of artificial intelligence through candid conversations. I'm Michael Ferrari.
I'm Ryan Scholl.
Please join us as we explore how artificial intelligence is transforming work across campus, one fascinating story at a time. While some students are using artificial intelligence to skip the readings, rising senior Aidan Oliss is using it to build the future. He takes us inside his digital workshop to show us how he is creating with Claude Code and Codex without a traditional coding background. He lays out his workflow for a decision console to pressure test his ideas and remove bias from AI models. This episode is about how a curious mind can expand what one human can achieve. The barrier for entry to become a CEO just hit zero. Welcome to another episode of the Deeks.ai podcast. I believe Ryan says it is the #1 higher education podcast about artificial intelligence.
At Wake Forest University.
At Wake Forest University. Sorry, I was taking a breath to tell people about today's guest, but why don't you take over and I'll grab my inhaler.
Yeah, sure. We have a student today. It's quite fascinating. Aidan Oliss. He's a junior. And when we hear a lot about the fear-mongering about artificial intelligence taking our jobs, I'm not worried about that. I am worried about Aidan taking our jobs. He is a modern-day Renaissance man. He is president of the Entrepreneurship Club. He's a research assistant with AI policy and geopolitics. He studied abroad at Cambridge. He started his own business. He's written Chrome extensions. He's doing everything he can in artificial intelligence. He wants to start artificial intelligence clubs. He doesn't leave much for the rest of us to do. And what we have now is a pretty fascinating conversation with Aidan.
Yeah, and on top of it, apparently he sings. He's in chamber choir, so I don't know.
I don't think he leaves much. He doesn't leave much for the rest of us to do.
All right, well, let's get into it.
Aidan, when we spoke before, you were laying out your background. You're very much a builder. Mm-hmm. Talked about your entrepreneurial mindset, president of the Entrepreneurship Club. Mm-hmm. You started a venture, mm-hmm. a company, and then you pivoted out of it. Tell us about what you built and why you built that.
Yeah, so I decided to become part of a program called Deacon Springboard on campus. It's one of our basically startup venture programs for students that were able to come up with an idea, receive mentorship and capital. We only just a small amount, but and through that process, we're able to eventually pitch it and see if we're able to get that off the ground. But it's mostly bootstrapped through that. I came up with an idea while I was vacationing with my family, and that was focused on our hurricane protection device because the island that we had visited had been just devastated by a hurricane. And we figured that there was, there had to be a better way to protect a lot of the valuables that were lost. We'd be going outside and we'd see TVs and washing machines and furniture everywhere that was destroyed just simply because of water damage, And so we came up with an idea to try to protect them with waterproof kind of bags that could be tracked in case they floated away or if they, were under wreckage or something like that. And so I took that idea and I applied to Springboard with it, and I pursued that idea, and it developed a lot. And I tried to integrate AI into it to make it very sophisticated. But eventually, after pitching it, I realized that my interests were more into building with AI. That I wanted to learn more about coding and how I could use that to start a software company or to just become a better student or more employable. So I pivoted away from that idea into trying to teach myself how to code, because this is back in May of 2024. May of 20. I think it was May of 2020, and that's when it was. Maybe it was 25. Mixed
doesn't
up
matter.
Dates,
Close enough.
Yeah,
time doesn't matter. Post COVID, because COVID screwed everybody up. Yeah, time doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, but basically that was when vibe coding wasn't really a thing yet. It wasn't, at least an established thing. It was just kind of on the horizon, and so I was like, you can use AI to help you learn how to code, but you can't have it do it all for you yet. So I was trying to learn how to do it. And then in that process, vibe coding came along, but I was kind of slow to pick it up.
But so with the startup though, as every startup founder, entrepreneur knows, and I really don't like this word, but your failure, you learned a lot from that.
Definitely.
And you turned that into some successes. So even though you went through a process and maybe, what was the name of the company?
I called it Storm Stash.
Storm Stash didn't fully work out like you originally intended.
Yeah.
The learning that you gained from that was probably pretty amazing, right?
Definitely.
So you took those lessons, like you went out, you took a chance, and that's what Deacon Springboard allows. You can experiment and learn in this sort of low, I don't want to say no risk, but low risk environment. You know, that's what's so great about the college world and our entrepreneurship program. You can learn in this low risk environment, whether you succeed or fail again. You can take all that learning and pivot. And so you built knowledge. You didn't succeed the first time, but you had this great foundation, and you took that and went forward. And then that's where you say you pivoted to something else. But before you talk about what exactly you pivoted into, I think where we're going, what you talked about was the bar is very low for being able to start your own business, and anybody can do that now. Why is that true?
I mean, there's really no reason to not at least try at this point. I like what you said with the Springboard program, for one, is just incredible. Like I did learn so much in that, and that failure was really a good path. It really set me into like knowing that I wanted to be an entrepreneur and knowing that I wanted to take more chances. But yeah, like today, I mean, it is so easy. It's so remarkably easy to go on to like Codex or Claude and start a company. It takes seconds to do it, really. Like it's gotten
so you think it's
good.
the advent of some of these artificial intelligence tools, maybe even these now even the next wave, the agentic AI tools, that lowers the bar, just destroys the barriers even more. Is that where you're going with that?
Exactly. AI has gotten so powerful that anybody has the capability of making a company, you know, and so I think personally all students should be experimenting with that. You don't have to have a successful company off of that, but you know, you learn so much from just building alone that like it's worthwhile for sure.
Now I'm curious about like you saying how easy it is to start a company now. Do you think, like, from your viewpoint, is it more like the AI actually doing heavy lifting involved with like about doing that, or just it makes it so much, like it makes it easy to realize how you can do all of this?
I think it's both, really. I mean, with the power of like AI, you can actually get like a really sophisticated company really easily as well. I mean, you're even able to make hardware companies with AI because it can teach you how to make and get suppliers and everything. So, I mean, it definitely helps in that on that end, and also, you know, it's so easy, like with what you said, to just like build, like to start, like to like I'm trying to remember what exactly you said a minute ago, but it works for both ends from what I
So even simple people like Michael and I can start something, you think?
Even and, like anybody can start a company. Do it. I mean, if you wanted to, you could ask AI for ideas. They're not going to be good, but you could take those ideas, tell it to make you a website. It can do that. Tell it to make you an app. It can do that. Tell you exactly the direction, the plan you need. And I mean, from there, you just follow the basic steps and you can.
So instead of having a full team,
no, you don't.
Then you can accomplish a lot more with less. You could be a solopreneur.
Yeah, there's a guy in Europe, I believe, who just raised $1 billion for his solo company that he built entirely himself. He has no staff, and people believe him. They think it's going to be a success. So, I mean, that's a great example of. I wish I could remember the name of the company, but yeah, the solo company is a thing now for sure.
You pivoted and you actually released a product recently.
Yeah, I did. So, in learning how to code, I decided.
And do you have a big technical background?
Not prior, no.
No.
But I mean, I taught myself how to use like VS Code and JavaScript, and from there, I would use just copy and paste ChatGPT responses into each file, and then like I would just work with ChatGPT to understand like what each file does and like how I can optimize it. But then I got into using Codex and Claude and anti-gravity, and that in getting into Codex, I realized that it'd be really cool if users had kind of a prompt improver built into their chat. This is kind of an idea that's maybe a little bit obsolete now, but it's still useful. And so you can, like, there's a big thing about prompting now where, you need to have strong prompts to get strong output. So I built that as a Chrome web extension where it sits in your chat box or your text box for whatever AI you use. It's called Task Pilot. It's on the Google Chrome store. And
what is it called?
Task Pilot.
Task Pilot.
Yeah.
On the Google Chrome store.
It is. I've been working on an update for a while, so. But basically, yeah, it sits in all of your AIs, and you just open it with whatever prompt you wrote. You don't have to move anything around. You just select upgrade prompt or any of the options. There's like one for image generation, for coding, for longer response or concise response, and it'll just upgrade the prompt in your text box for you. And it takes just a couple of seconds. And the hope is that you get a really good output from that. So people that have used it have really liked it. And I've learned a lot in the process. It doesn't have to be a hit for me. If anything, it really just got me more into building tools and how to really take advantage and leverage those tools. So I'm grateful for that experience, for sure.
You're a man of many skills. You're a new age Renaissance man.
I appreciate it.
You've tied two of your hobbies together.
Yeah.
Use of these AI tools, entrepreneurship. How do you use artificial intelligence differently than other students, especially in the academic world?
Yeah, so I'd say about probably 90% of students, maybe even more, just use the basic prompting of AI. They use just the system prompting of, like, whether it's ChatGPT or Anthropic. And some students are familiar with Gemini and Perplexity and a couple other models, maybe even Grok, but the vast majority of students are sticking to one of the three models, Gemini and Claude or ChatGPT, and they don't follow the news. And so, they don't really peer into it. They don't really, dig into what AI can do, because I think a lot of people are a little bit afraid of it and they don't really understand it. And maybe they're, I think it's very nuanced. Like, I think a lot of people might not be as interested in it, or maybe they kind of fear it because they know it's there to take your job or take your role, or at least that's what people are saying online. And I think a lot of people aren't taking advantage of that, especially students, which is unfortunate in my opinion. But yeah, most people are just using the basic level of it, and I think
so. If that's what they're doing,
yeah,
what are you doing?
So I use as many different AI as I can. My motto is to try to be very open to different AI tools. And in the past I was very like, oh, ChatGPT is the best. Like, there's no reason to use any other model. But I've gotten really familiar with a lot of different models. I've used, I use Perplexity for my research, and a lot of people do that too. I use Claude for a lot of coding and just writing. And then I use OpenAI for a lot of research gathering. And I use Gemini as well for research, and just cross-checking each across. And then I also use their coding models. So I use Codex every day. I usually run out of my credits. Alongside that, I also have Claude Code. My mother has a subscription.
Shout out to mom.
Use it. Shout out to mom.
Thanks, mom.
And so I use them side by side. And then I also use anti-gravity, which is Google's coding agent, basically, if anyone isn't familiar with that. And I try to optimize those as much as I can. I use the skills and
again, you just said you didn't have a technical background.
No, not at all.
So anybody can do this.
In computer science. Yeah, anybody can do this. I've tried showing people are hesitant to do it. And I really want to understand that a little bit more deeply, because to me, it just seems like such a no-brainer. You have something that could build whatever you want, essentially. If you applied yourself a little bit, and that you just prompted a couple of times, it could really have whatever you want. So
how do we get more students using it?
How you get more students to use it is kind of like, I think there are a couple of different directions you could take. For one, I feel like there's kind of like this negativity surrounding AI, that it's, everything is AI generated, it's AI slop, AI propaganda, whatever. But people need to stop viewing it as, just like a surface level tool, and more of like something that could really change the world. It can be super transformative if people use the other applications of it. So I think a good education system about it would be essential. Understanding, how how social media portrays it, and how it can actually be really useful beyond just like creating images and helping it write your paper for you.
So are you talking about an education system like workshops and some classes, or are you talking about putting you in a robot costume with little blow up things and fireworks and balloons on the quad?
Definitely the first one.
We're not going to give you a microphone and you're just going to get out there and yell on the steps of Whitechapel.
I think it helps when people talk to other students about it too, and like when clubs, like the entrepreneurship club, or I think there's an AI club as well. Like they host projects, or they have like pitch events, or learning opportunities. Definitely the courses. I personally think there should be a requirement to learn AI, because I think AI is so cross-disciplinary that like it can apply to any field, right? So why not at least understand it a little bit so that you can maybe leverage it in your field, and you can be more employable as well. I mean,
so basically showing students some examples of how to use it beyond just a better Google, a better way to do all your critical thinking for you, a better way of just than just summarizing what you can create and how you can get better outputs.
Yeah, people need to, like, especially just using it for text generation or image generation is like you're scratching the surface of it. So people are launching full companies that are actually trying to change the world with it. I see stuff all the time. I'm just following AI of people doing incredible things in biology, and literally any subject you can think of, people are taking advantage of it. And I think that's great for students especially, but a lot of people are kind of adverse to it at the moment.
Now, what would you say to the people who have issues with the outputs? They say too sycophantic. I don't like them because it doesn't give me the answers I want. It always agrees with me.
Yeah.
How would you advise them to get better outputs?
Yeah. So for one, it does have a bias. It wants to appeal to you. It wants you to, it wants to solve the problem that you're having. But it's important for one to recognize when it is being very biased, and when it's telling you something that's maybe not true. And I think that actually can promote some critical thinking as well, when you're able to identify when it's doing that, and to kind of like avoid that, especially. But some ways you can get around that is obviously better prompting. There's also like you can go into the system and basically give it like a set prompt that will change the tonality and like the response of the AI. But also using different models. Like I've been using Claude's recently, and I've noticed that it's a lot more like their newer model. It's a lot more strict and a lot more more disciplined than the ChatGPT model I've been using. And that ChatGPT loves to please, and Claude, from my experience, has been very strict and you need to be on task. Like I noticed that you're doing this, and maybe it's just switching to a different model, basically. Or
so maybe play the models against each other.
Definitely. I love to do that. I love to take a response that I get from ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or another AI and put it into another one and critique it, say, where is this wrong? How can we improve this? And then put it into another. And through that process, you can get a lot more of an unbiased answer from them, and something that you're probably looking for. So
have you ever created a council of experts or focus group or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, with AI, I have. Yeah, I made a decision council for my Codex and Claude work. And essentially, it reviews an idea every time I have an idea, because I come up with a lot of ideas for the product or on other ideas for companies. It'll critique it. It'll give me an optimist view, a pessimist view, a skeptic view, kind of like a technical and investor view. It'll give me like a whole range of different views. I think it's 6. And then it'll give me a summary at the bottom with a recommendation based off all those views.
That's a pro tip right there. Instead of just prompting a model and getting a singular response back, I heard somebody else the other day use the analogy of a vending machine. You're just pumping something in, you get one thing out. What you're doing is you are querying, having a conversation, and then getting multiple responses.
Yeah.
And evaluating all those responses, and then even having the models help you evaluate those.
Yeah.
It's similar to, I was asking one of the models to make an image the other day, and before I started making the image, I said, describe 10 possible ways you could do that. So it outlined 10 different ways it was going to create an image. I said, okay, now create number 1 and number 3. So instead of just trying to say, this is exactly what I want, I asked it for 10 different ways. And then after those brainstorming, after that ideation, then we move forward.
Yeah.
And I think that's similar to what you're doing with some of your brainstorming and some of your counseling and arguing against each other.
Yeah, I get great output from it too. I think
that's next level.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, it'd be great if more people were able to use that, because I feel like, you know, they would avoid a lot of the biases of AI, or at least they'd get better prompts, better output as a result. So,
So I'm curious. So hearing now you talk about like workshopping a product and having it reviewed, and you going down, you know, this path of computer science and programming. How much since going down these paths and utilizing AI has like your you know, your path forward changed from like the day you stepped on campus? Like how much different have you pivoted with your goal?
Massively. You know, I thought I was going to be, I mean, it changed a lot, to be fair, but for when I started, I came in thinking I was going to be a biology major. I wanted to be a doctor, and pivoted from that. And I thought, you know, maybe I want to get into philosophy and law, you know. And then once I got into the entrepreneurship program, I took Deacon Springboard. That was my first entrepreneurship course. That opened my eyes to AI a lot. I learned about Lovable in that course, which I still use today.
What is Lovable?
Lovable is a website an AI generated website and app building platform, and it's incredible. If you ever get the chance to use it,
do you have to be technical to use it?
No, not at all. No, you just prompt it, and you know, it's gotten to the point where the first prompt you make is good enough to be a demo. It doesn't look like AI, and it's really sophisticated. And so, like going back to that point, you know, just like learning about AI and entrepreneurship has completely changed my path. Like I've known that from that I want to be involved in this. I apply for AI roles now. I'm always thinking about building something new with AI and applying AI into the classroom. That's what I'm hoping Professor Brister with is making an AI politics course to try to merge those two things. I'm putting AI into everything now because I think it's incredible. So
Now, if like AI for whatever reason just like went away tomorrow, do you think you would continue down this new path? You know, obviously it wouldn't be as easy having you know, AI there to assist you, but do you think you would continue down like this computer science programming entrepreneur path opposed to your original goal?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. If AI was, you know, removed from society tomorrow, I would still have a foundational understanding of coding. I obviously wouldn't be strong enough to build like nearly what I have today, but I would still want to learn more about it. I mean, it's a new language, right? And I think a lot of people fall in love with the language when they start to learn it. They just start to really enjoy it and want to apply it. And so I think I kind of had that feeling with coding a little bit. I mean, I even just beyond just having AI do the work for me, I love learning more about how the system works. You know, I'm curious about that. And in terms of entrepreneurship, I would still be wanting to be an entrepreneur. You know, I love building companies, whether it's with AI or not. You know, I'm interested in different things beyond AI in terms of entrepreneurship as well. So
just listening to you speak, you're like a brochure for a liberal arts degree. People are saying higher education is under attack for so many different reasons. They say college is dead, AI is going to take over everything. But your journey already, and you're still only a junior. Finals are coming up, so you get to senior year soon.
Yeah.
But your journey in just a couple of years, you've pivoted a number of times, and Wake Forest has provided you the ability to do that, and the safety net to try different things. In the 3 years you've been here, you've learned different things, you've pivoted, you've found out a lot about yourself. You've gone from different careers, different classes, you've learned to create and build. And I think that's just the college mentality. I mean, we're talking about higher education here. That's what college allows people to do, and especially in the liberal arts field. So you've been able to bounce from different idea to different idea, and eventually we're going to get to the point where people with these liberal arts degrees who have learned to think, not learned a certain specific particular skill, just learned how to think, they're going to be the ones that are going to be successful. I think that is the mentality and the blueprint for leadership and CEOs, and I think that's where the world is heading. And I think you're on the path, and everybody's going to be able to learn from you. So thank you for setting that example for everybody.
Yeah, I would also just add on to that too. Even if, even say not even just like the successful aspect, I think also happier. Like he's like you're a great testament to this. Get AI. I think one of the most valuable things that I appreciate is it lowering the barrier of entry to so many things, to where you can learn things you never would have imagined yourself doing and been like, wow, I actually like really enjoy this. I love this. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I mean, you can use it for so much. Like, it helps. I mean, everybody is using it now, essentially, and it helps you learn a whole bunch of material in half the time or even less. And I love the liberal arts education. I love being able to learn about different things. And without the liberal arts education, there's a good chance I wouldn't have gotten into coding or AI, or at least not to the capacity that I'm into it right now. And I wouldn't be applying, my interest in politics, my interest in entrepreneurship and AI all together. And I wouldn't have that opportunity to really do so. And so I think liberal arts education is like so foundational for students now. And a lot of people are like, oh, AI is going to replace your writer, your English major or whatever. But AI still has faults. It still has a tonality. It still sounds like AI. And so English majors, for one, are able to spot that and write better quality and like take advantage of that. And some people are like hiring English majors because they know AI is so very specific with how it writes that like everybody can identify AI writing now. So they're hiring English majors to be able to write like quality human writing instead. Like it opens new opportunities.
So the key word you said there was human.
Yeah.
And if AI can do all these skills, what's left for humans? Where's the premium now?
Like at the moment, or
well, now and then in 5 years, which is like another century in AI terms.
Yeah.
What is left for humans?
I think that's a great question. I think humans still have that core component of creativity that, as far as we know, is not replaceable. We're seeing a lot of things with AGI and super intelligence, which I've gotten really interested in learning about super intelligence, because that's basically models training itself instead of being trained on human data, which like some people are betting on that being the next generation.
Recursive self-improvement.
Right. Yeah.
For the real tech geeks out there.
Yeah. Which is, that's fascinating. But I think the human skill that is creativity is not replaceable, at least at this time. And so we need to start leveraging that more. You need more students to start tapping into how can we be more creative in this area, because AI is like it's a really good tool. It's like what we talked about before. It's like a calculator. If you can apply a really creative idea, you could build something incredible with AI, because it can build everything else, like all the technical aspects of it. It can really, it's a launch pad. It can get you to where you want to go, or whatever innovation or idea or project you have.
You're much more of the expert on the creativity of here. And I think, Michael, you've talked many times in the past about that premium on art, whether that's, physical art or music. And will people go and follow and trend towards the human creative art versus the artificial intelligence? I mean, that's more of your world, and I think you've said before that, especially with the music, because we've talked about that. We've done episodes that there will be a premium on that human creative music.
And I think there are parallels to draw with what we're seeing in this discussion right here. Like you'll have like a musician who they'll be able to use AI to help assist them finish their project, and then so they're putting out art that they wouldn't have been able to put out previously, or would have been much harder. maybe using it to learn a new instrument, or a filmmaker will be able to, leverage AI to get their thing done because they don't have all this money to pay a composer or a visual effects artist. So I think it actually enables art creation just as much, if not more, in a lot of ways. But with that being said, I'm curious, again, because you went down this unexpected path that you didn't see. Do you see other students doing that as well? Suddenly finding interests or, possible career paths that they never saw coming?
Yeah, I do, but they're seldom.
Yeah.
I've run into a couple of students who have been interested in working on Task Pilot with me,
Mhm.
along with other students that I was close with abroad, who are really applying AI skills. But there are some people who are just naturally a little bit curious and want to understand it, and so they're getting more into it. But the vast majority aren't. And those people that are getting into it are building really incredible things. I have friends that are building their own games and trying to apply it into their major, especially, and putting out research and building different tools for whatever they're pursuing. But there are a lot of people who are very adverse to it.
Yeah.
And so they're not even, they're not really applying that AI aspect at all.
And everybody has their reasons, and we understand that, and different perspectives, and ideas of what should stay human, what AI should do, how do you use it.
Yeah.
But for the people who want to experiment and want to expand their abilities, how do we bring them on board?
Um, yeah, I mean, at least from the student perspective and for students, you just need to desensitize them. Like they need to become more accepting of AI as a part of the world. A lot of people are, with every new invention, people are hesitant. They avoid it.
Is this because of media coverage? Is it getting bad media?
Yeah.
Is it internal? Like, at Wake Forest, is this like a national thing?
I think it's, in a lot of ways, it's a national thing, because there's a lot of negative content out there about AI, and it's almost all we hear about now too. So if you're not interested or deep into AI, it's overwhelming in a way, because you get a new GPT or Claude model like almost every week now. And
Yeah, and it's so easy to throw like just the term AI around. Like I think I
It's a
mentioned it in
buzzword
one of
now.
I think we talked about it briefly in one of our earliest episodes. I remember there was something going on, I don't know, some kind of work or maybe farm or doc something, and like you just would see comments like, "Oh, well, just replace them with AI." It's like, well, that's just not some magic thing where they could be like, "Yeah, you know what? Tomorrow, send in the AI, problem solved." Like,
Yeah. Yeah. So I think a lot of people, I know actually from looking on social media, that people will be like, we have to get rid of AI. People say that in the comment section, or and it'll have like hundreds of likes. So there's a sizable
should we
amount
get
of
rid
people
of the calculator?
who
What
are,
about Excel? Because
Yeah.
Excel makes things easier too. Let's get rid of that.
Mhm.
Let's get rid of every productivity consultant. KPMG,
Mhm.
BCG. Let's just get rid of all those, because they help people do their jobs better.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of people, especially, who think they're going to be replaced by AI. A lot of students, they talk about, in a couple of
Meanwhile,
years.
you've just shown all this other stuff you can do with AI.
Mhm.
I'm going to go on a limb. You're not going to be replaced. You're doing more.
I mean, I think I'm not even doing that much. You know what I mean? Which is the crazy part to me, is that if you wanted to be in the place where I am, all you need to do is literally go download the apps and just start playing with them and start trying new things and trying to learn about how you can optimize your prompts and how you can work efficiently across different workflows with AI. It's really not difficult. And that says a lot. A lot of people aren't willing to just get their feet wet, and just get into it and just try it, which is it's kind of revealing a societal problem, that people should be taking more risk. People should be, less about conformity and being comfortable, and more into experimentation.
You were abroad in the fall.
Yeah.
And again, in AI terms, that was decades ago,
Yeah.
right? Because I think we're living in dog years now.
yeah.
What was the conversation? And this was Europe, right?
Yeah, I was in Cambridge.
What was the conversation like in England, in anywhere else in Europe you may have been, was that different than it is in the United States?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, at Cambridge, we had like so many different clubs that were AI focused. I mean, there were hundreds of them, and I tried
Really?
joining all of them. Yeah, and I mean, just talking to other students and people in my cohort, people are a lot more accepting of AI. I mean, I knew.
Well, okay. I want you to
Yeah.
dig in on that, but this is not a video podcast. I'm going to describe how I'm very confused because
Mhm,
AI is very much regulated in Europe,
mhm,
and the EU has way more regulations, and these big American labs can't release all their features over there
mhm,
because of the EU regulations.
mhm.
So what you're saying is even with this basically governor on some of these AI products,
Mhm.
there's still a very a lot of momentum and a lot of excitement.
Yeah, there is. To be fair, there are a lot of people who are um, like against it in the way that like they want to make safe and ethical AI basically. Um, there were a couple of clubs that were related to that, but I think in Europe, at least from my perspective, that they have a good understanding of its capabilities, and to that end, that they also understand that it needs to be safe and regulated, and
Mhm.
so they understand they have that kind of that mix where they know it's powerful, they know what you can achieve from it, but it also has to be regulated. It's kind of like a good balance, just like a little bit of like there's a good harmony there, and the students that I talked to, the students I worked with there we're using AI, and I mean, I don't know, the university is a lot larger. Cambridge is just massive, and they have incredible funding and network. So I mean, you're going to get some brilliant students there too.
Mhm.
So, but a lot of them were leveraging AI, and were far more accepting of AI. But you still had those debates. But I think that they viewed it as like what we've been talking about, like a great tool that just can't be taken advantage of,
Mhm.
in the wrong way, at least.
Did you get any insight or sense of how their like media like covers it and speaks of it?
Um, yeah, a little bit. I think it's a lot more positive from my understanding. I mean, I haven't been following it for a while, and at least in
Sure.
Europe. But I know there have been some incredible companies that have come out of Europe in AI. Lovable, for one, is a Europe-based company. And the super intelligence company that is being created by the lead AI researcher in the world right now is based in Europe. And there are a lot of other companies that are based in Europe that are made from AI. And my sense is that people are a lot more accepting of AI and they use it a little bit more. But you know, Cambridge is very it's kind of like an echo chamber in that way. Perspectives outside of that, like they can be very different.
Mhm.
A half hour away.
Mhm.
So, but that was just my experience. I think people are a lot more accepting of it there,
Interesting.
embracing it a little bit more. So.
Is there any aspect in your life, could be, you know, personal, professional, whatever, where like you're still negative, so to say, about AI, or you refuse to kind of implement it into?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, the whole issue with not having watermarks for image and video generation is a negative point in my mind. It is really difficult to identify AI generated content. It's basically indistinguishable. Like you
Yeah.
have a lot of
What are
work
you using to do that
for
for
generating.
like images?
I don't. I mean, I've used it for design elements, but I mean, I see a lot of its application being used even now in war. Like I see it in
Mm.
Iran, you see it in Ukraine and Russia, and trying to manipulate people into believing that the war is going one way or another.
That is incredibly scary.
Yeah, yeah,
But I want you to talk more about that. But I just wanted to go down a quick technical path.
sure.
If you use Nano Banana,
Yeah.
Nano Banana
Mhm.
2, or anything that Google's or Gemini, DeepMind is putting out,
Yeah.
they do the synth ID.
Mm.
So they put a physical watermark
Mhm.
on their visual stuff,
Mhm.
but then they also have synthetic IDs built in.
Mhm.
And I know you've
Mm.
mentioned you've used Google Labs before.
Yeah.
They have a tool
Mhm.
that you can put in any kind of audio file or
Mhm.
media file in there to tell if it was AI generated.
Mm.
So there is a synth ID thing.
Mhm.
But even if that's not readily available to people, or people don't notice it, then we get into exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
The deep fakes, the potential media influence,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's political or war, or, I mean, we in the U.S. now we have some midterms coming up, political
Mm-hmm.
elections. Scared to death of what might be out there, and,
Mm-hmm.
and the messages and the deep fakes.
Right.
But I mean, I think that's where you're going with the war stuff.
Yeah, I think it's really scary for one because it only takes seconds to minutes for this content to spread online and then go viral.
Yeah.
And if you're not able to check it, people believe it. I mean, there's that case of Trump seeing the USS Abraham being struck by an Iranian missile in an AI generated video, and he had to confirm himself. And the president has to check whether, one of the ships was struck. And so that's just, goes to show that like anybody can fall for this really. And I even scrolling reels myself, like I've seen pro-Iranian content, where they're like blowing up ships that looked very real. It looked very, very believable. I mean, well, probably not believable, but from the image, you think it's real.
And especially if you're just doom scrolling
Yeah.
through Instagram or something.
Yeah,
you're not analyzing every image.
Yeah, and what makes it's like it's funny, but it's like every now and again I will come across a very similar like post showcasing how much better AI has gotten, and it's like, hey, here's this first video that went kind of viral of Will Smith like eating spaghetti or something.
Oh yeah,
and it's like,
yeah,
here it is now, and even just
Yeah.
that one goofy idea of Will Smith eating spaghetti is like,
yeah.
holy smokes, okay,
And now they're integrating the sound in that as well.
yeah.
Yeah, and people are sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say people are doing it over Zoom too. I've seen videos of people who are able to like fully mask themselves and their voice as well. There was one video of a guy, I think he was interviewing someone, and he looked like a very like average U.S. citizen or whatever, and spoke like one, and he actually was like a guy from a tech center in India, but he had no idea, and so and scamming art, it's gonna get pretty bad.
I'm not gonna lie. There's a product that I'm watching. It's still in beta now. I'm waiting for it to come out. It's where, just like you're talking about over Zoom, you could look very professional, maybe in a suit, but you can be driving in your car. I can't wait for that because I can be anywhere, and then everybody's gonna think I'm sitting at my desk on Zoom.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that is interesting. So I guess beyond deep fakes, are there any other things that you're cautious about?
Obviously there's always that concern that AI may really replace us. And there is going to be a lot of AI and robots, especially in war. You having AI already in Ukraine, fully autonomously, robots deployed that are making the decision to execute people. That's happening. That's a little scary. And then, if you see robots in your house, obviously there's a little bit of skepticism with that. They can be really great, and I'm sure that they'll be very productive and helpful. But it is in your house, and the new Neo, if you guys are familiar with any of the AI robotic companies, right as of now, it's not powerful enough to be fully autonomous. So they have a human operating it, and it can see into your house and like do stuff for you, which
That's
is a little
the whole
scary.
world, yeah.
But you don't know what kind of data they're able to collect from that and on you. They could start targeting you with ads, or maybe sharing your location with other companies, and it's just it's a whole mess in that area, which is a little bit scary. And then like with the jobs replacement, if it does become so powerful that it's able to replace your jobs, that's a little scary too for people that are passionate about specific careers. That could cease, which is that would be very unfortunate. But I don't think that's the current trajectory. At least I think it's gonna be a long time before we see that fully, at least.
You invoked a name earlier, and because we've made him listen to this episode all the way through, friend of the pod, Dr. Tom Brister.
Yeah,
you're working with him.
Yeah,
what are you doing with him?
So I'm doing a couple of different things with him. I'm collecting AI research for him. We talk about it a lot, just to kind of understand like what is going on in AI, especially in the war and its application. I'm also helping him with the policy memo that we're talking about. It's focused on the AI and use of kill chains in the military, and basically deciding on whether to execute somebody, initiate different things without human control, basically. So we're writing on the ethical implications of that. And then also he's designing an AI and politics course, which looks at, AI from its inception to where it is today and how it's being applied broadly. And so I'm working in kind of those different areas with him. I'm kind of like just doing an AI research for him, basically. And
is the goal to publish this research?
Yeah, I mean, I want to publish a policy memo with him regarding AI implications in the war. And
can you come back and launch it on our podcast? So
yeah,
the worldwide launch of this research.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to. I love looking into it, and I am very curious what the future looks like in terms of how different countries are going to integrate AI into their militaries. I know based off of the results of the Iran and U.S. war, China has made it a real emphasis to try to integrate AI as much as possible into theirs. They've seen the effects of using AI in media, because a lot of people are claiming, and to some extent it's true, that AI won the propaganda war, or the media war. That Iran won the AI media war. And so if China is able to take some advice from that, maybe they could make something really strong as well in war.
Well, I mean, it's, as much as we don't want to say it's geopolitical, it's huge geopolitical.
Yeah.
And where we just talked about Europe being heavily regulated, and then the U.S. has its own regulations. We're a little unsure of what we're doing, obviously.
Right.
China's on the far end of the spectrum. They just have the, pedal to the metal there and go, go, go. We are full speed ahead. School kids, even at the primary schools, are getting AI integrated completely into their classroom. So China definitely is all in on this.
Right. Yeah, they're using it. I mean, it's going to be integrated in every part of the military pretty soon. And I think it's fascinating to look into it. So I'm hoping that maybe some good research can come out of it. More on the ethics side, though, for sure, because there are a lot of ethical implications of it, for sure.
Okay, let's bring people back to a happier place.
Yeah, sure. So,
I think we're running out of time, so I want to ask you one final question.
Sure.
Back in the academic mindset.
Yeah.
You've detailed ways that you've used some of the generative AI, talked a little bit about the classroom. How do you want to see professors utilize it?
Yeah, so it's interesting because, with professors, you have them on one side of the spectrum for the most part, from my experience. You either have them very pro AI or very anti AI. And you can see it outlined in all of their syllabuses that they either want you to try to use it or they don't want you to touch it at all. And so I think that professors should try to take a balance of using it to try to, have it almost like a TA or an assistant in the classroom. You can use AI to help educate your students, because at the end of the day, it isn't about necessarily whether your students are being, are using it or not. It's whether they're actually learning. What are these students taking something from this class? Are they really getting everything out of the class? And teachers make a lot of mistakes. At Wake Forest, they're great, but AI can fill in the gaps. So I think that teachers should embrace it a little bit more. Almost every student is using it. And
what about designing new and different kinds of assignments or activities?
That are, based off designing new activities or assignments that allow you to leverage AI along with whatever you're studying is a really great opportunity to actually learn too. Because AI is going to teach you about it, and you can build something really cool, and you can build it the way you want, which is a part of learning. If you're building something that you want or you're interested in, you're going to naturally learn. So I think teachers should be more accepting of it. I don't think that students should be using AI for all the work, but I think it's such a great tool for learning. There's Notebook LLM. We talked about that before. Great AI resources out there that are incredible for learning, and it's only getting better too. So it almost seems naive not to try to take advantage of that.
Unprompted, you hit the bingo card. I don't think we've made it through an episode without saying Notebook LM. So
Yeah,
that seems like the best way I could think of to end this episode.
Yeah. I mean, it's been great meeting you guys. Or I've already met you, but it's been great meeting you. And
great meeting you as well.
Talking to you guys.
Well, thank you, Aidan. And when you and Dr. Brister finish that research, we definitely want you to come back and talk.
I'd love to. I mean, I love talking about this, so I'm happy for any chance to be able to do that. So
All right.
thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. That was fascinating.
Thanks again to our guest, and thanks for listening to the Deeks.ai podcast. Please continue to follow the AI discussion by subscribing on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. If you have any comments, questions, or would like to join the discussion, please email us at deeks.ai@wfu.edu.